when doing business or engaging diplomatic activities in Russia. You must understand Russia well. If you don't know, you will often suffer the consequences and fall into despair. Bureaucrats and business people who are accustomed to an environment with a system of gentlemanly behavior and social norms like the United States and Europe find it difficult to live in Russia. In international diplomacy, the term used to describe the incomprehensible true intentions of Russians is Putin Time. Putin Time refers to the sudden use of time that Putin does not he pleases. Russian President Vladimir Putin is notorious for being a latecomer. President Putin is famous for making the other leaders wait by being late for at least tens of minutes or after several hours whenever he meets with the leaders of other countries. During his summit meeting with then German Chancellor Angela Merkel in 2014, President Putin set the record of waiting for hours and 15 minutes. In September 2018, he was 2 hours and 13 minutes late for meeting with then Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. In 2003, Queen Elizabeth II was made to wait 14 minutes. Even at his first meeting with Pope Francis in 2013, he was about 50 minutes late. Previously, he was 15 minutes late for meeting with Pope John Paul II in 2000. In the case of former President Park Geun-hye, she waited 1 hour and 45 minutes during the 2016 meeting. Former President Moon Jae-in also waited for about 50 minutes at the Korean-Russia summit held in Moscow in June 2018. However, President Putin showed sincerity by coming 30 minutes early for each summit meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. President Putin arrived at the Vostochny Cosmodrome, Amur region, Russia, the location of the summit, at approximately 12:30 p.m. on September 13. About 30 minutes later, Chairman Kim arrived. President Putin arrived first and waited for Chairman Kim. At the first meeting held in Vladivostok 4 years and 5 months ago, President Putin arrived 30 minutes earlier on April 25, 2019 at approximately 1:34 p.m. President Putin comes to the S building of the Far Eastern Federal University in Vladivostok. The summit venue and Chairman Kim's private vehicle arrived at around 5 p.m. In fact, the perception strategy is not often used against leaders of friendly countries. At the Moscow summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping in March, he came to the meeting room in advance to greet them. Some say this reveals Russia's desperate situation, which has changed since the Ukraine war. It is analyzed that President Putin's hospitality to Chairman Kim is in consideration of North Korea's support of weapons necessary for the war in Ukraine. There is an interpretation that President Putin's tiredness is due to psychological warfare training during his time as a KGB, State Security Committee of Soviet Union spy, where he made the other party wait and then got what he wanted from the nervous opponent. Being late to summit meeting can also be interpreted as a kind of psychological warfare to gain an upper hand in negotiations.